What's up, everyone? So, doing another reaction. This one's going to be a little bit different because this one I'm going to show an original and a cover. So, the song that I'm going to cover is Changes, originally done by Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath back in, I want to say, maybe like 1972, somewhere around that time. And then Charles Bradley did a fantastic cover of that in, I want to say, 2016. The version that I'm going to show you of Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, this is from a performance in the 90s. And then I'll show you the Charles Bradley from 2016. But both very dynamic in their own way. The lyrics are fantastic. And it just goes to show that you can take two different genres of music, two different styles, and still have a very impactful song. So I'm going to get into it. But before I do, subscriptions to the channel are free, so please share the content with somebody else. Like, thumbs up, thumbs down. It always helps. And even leave a comment. I'd love to have it. So in the meantime, let's get into it.
I've lost the best friend that I ever had. She was my woman. I loved her so. But it's too late now. I've let her go. We shared the years, we shared each day, in love together, we found a way, but soon the world had its evil way. My heart was blinded, love went astray.
So I don't know a whole lot about the band Black Sabbath. I do know a little bit about Ozzy Osbourne. That band formed, I believe, again in the early '70s, and they are pretty much credited with being pioneers of heavy metal because their sound was just a little bit different than what we had heard up to that point, and they were embodying the sounds of the hard industrial portions of England where they originate from, where the band is from. And so there were some pretty heavy sounding songs, heavy lyrics, things like that. And of course, there's that big scare in the '70s of some of these bands being like devil worshippers and things like that. I can remember like those things being prevalent. And so that was kind of the angle that they were given or that they took. But Changes, especially you see in this performance, really has they lightened it up. If it felt like, and again, I don't know a lot of their other songs, but the ones that I've heard don't sound like this necessarily, and so I think that this was probably an original like power ballad, if you will, where it's this really hard band and then they soften their sound. And I think that's an important thing to be able to do. So that's the Ozzy Osbourne version, Black Sabbath, and it's a good song. It flows along. It doesn't have like that heavy thing. Like you wouldn't think that a heavy metal band would have done that. So I'm going to now turn it over and give you the Charles Bradley performance, and then we'll talk about that in just a little bit.
Am I right? The last tune you're going to do for us is Changes,
Yes.
which is a tune by Black Sabbath. You don't strike me as the average Black Sabbath fan. How did this tune cross your path?
Mr. Tommy Burnett asked me to do this song. Never heard of the guy, but the lyrics was so powerful. And that was going through the crisis. My mom was very ill, and I was watching her suffer, and this hurted me to my heart. And I didn't want to do the song, but the first verses was very hard for me to learn because I didn't want to accept it. But when I saw my mom, when she took her last breath, the second verse just came so natural. I didn't have to rehearse it. I didn't have to think about it. I look at it when she said her last goodbye to me. And boy, even today when I sing that song, I get truly emotional in that.
Well, it's a beautiful version, man. They're gonna. I think they'll all agree with me once they hear it.
I feel unhappy. I feel so sad. I have lost the best friend that I ever had. She was my woman. I love her so. But it's too late now. I let her go. Listen now. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. Oh, it hurts so bad in my life. It's gonna be a change in my life. Ah! We shed the years, we shed each day. In love together, we found a way. But soon the world had its evil ways. changes. Oh, it hurts so bad in my life. It's gotta be a change in my life. Somebody gotta help me. And this is the part that hurts me the deepest. It took so long to realize, Mama, I can still hear her last goodbye. And now all my days have turned to tears. Wish I could go back and change these years. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. Lord, it hurts so bad in my life. It's gotta be a change in my life. Somebody gotta help me.
Woo! Oh man, Charles Bradley, please give him as much thank you applause as you possibly can. Charles, that was fantastic. That's Ben on guitar back there. You never have too many Bens in the room. Thank you guys for coming out. But
Thank you.
once again, man, thanks. I really appreciate it.
I actually had to take a minute. That song and his version gets me every time, especially when you hear like the story behind him actually doing it and his mother passing. Charles Bradley passed a few years after that, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's passed, but I'm not exactly sure what year it was. But that is such just a touching rendition of an already really good song done by Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. They had different approaches to it. So that version that they did, the live version for Ozzy Osbourne, it had more of an orchestral sound, and it was light and everything else. And then Charles Bradley, this radical contrast where it was just this very soulful guitar playing that didn't have much more going on other than that and this man's voice. And I think that that's all you needed for such a beautiful cover. And I'm sure there's other covers out there, but Charles Bradley has a very unique voice and a unique story. If you're not familiar with him, he had been a James Brown impersonator for many years. That's kind of where you hear that, sort of thing that he had going on. Beautiful. But it took him almost the entirety of his life to really get the attention and respect. And thankfully it happened shortly before his passing, the last maybe like 5 to 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. And there's probably people who knew of him long before I did. But as far as mainstream, I would dare say that it was long overdue, but he did finally get that acknowledgement and credit for being just the amazing vocalist that he is or was. What are your thoughts on this? I think they're both great renditions, and I think that what the band initially was talking about was introspective changes on life as the band Black Sabbath, which formed in 1968, had been going through a lot of different changes as far as band members, things like that. I'm sure there was personal things as well. And when you're just starting to grow and your life goes through all of these different stages and changes that you may not have expected as a young band, turning into one of the most iconic bands for not only your genre and time, but probably of all time. And then you have just this fantastic man in Charles Bradley who brings such a unique sound to it. I really enjoy his version of it, but I do like and appreciate what Black Sabbath did as well. So I can't say that one is necessarily better than the other. I'd prefer the Charles Bradley, but I'm not going to say that it's better. It's an opinion-based sort of thing when you're talking about covers and the originals versus covers, because I think sometimes we do need to give a nod to the originators of a song over even a cover. And so therefore I'm kind of torn, but if I were going to sit and listen to one, I'd probably listen to the Charles Bradley more than I would the Black Sabbath, but doesn't mean I wouldn't listen to the Black Sabbath. I'm rambling. But again, I'd like to hear what you guys think. What's your thoughts on both of these covers individually and collectively? I would love to hear it. Ace up the sleeve, advice, comment, experience. Please leave it in the chats. Again, thumbs up or thumbs down. I won't be mad at you. And I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. And of course, I'm just going to... and you have the subscriptions and videos. Stick around.